Okay, good.
Hi, you have tuned in again to Melissa Smith with the Start State Effective Communications class. What I will be speaking about today is the felons for hire. Basically, what that is, it's a public service for ex-convicts in order to help find jobs, counseling services, and housing as well. And here's my audience. However close you gotta get to make it happen. And basically, the specific purpose is to basically increase and encourage ex-convicts um, to find work by the protection of discriminating support by the Second Chance Act, and that was signed by Obama in 2008. The Second Chance bill helps connect and stabilize people who have been let out of jail. Housing, job training, and job placement implement the irony of this proposal. Currently, 60% plus experience recidivism in the United States. Basically, what recidivism is basically convicts who get out and they return back to jail because they don't find their normal lifestyles, basically through finding jobs, finding houses, and finding the proper counseling. So what that does is that discourages them, and they just go back to jail because they feel like there's no hope. Felon for Hire is an offender work development that enables former convicts the opportunity to explain their incarceration. For instance, let's say you were an ex-convict and you went to go apply for Home Depot. What that act protects is you are able to explain to them, um, basically the reason why you were incarcerated, um, and while actively being trained for an acceptable position. So that is only within, like, let's say you qualified for like stock. Currently, like healthcare and things like that, they they're like protected against the law that I'll get into further. They're protected against the law to where if you have like any violent crimes or felonies or things like that, then you're like automatically X'd out of their factor. After recently having a close friend of mine become a convicted felon, I wanted to do everything I could to help him get back on track. I felt as a friend I couldn't allow him to become that 66% of recidivism that I explained to you guys earlier. Furthermore, I will show and reveal to you the details of the program that I have obtained through helping him. And now that I have explained the purpose and address to the public service of felons for hire, I will tell you that throughout this world there are several options in help on how felons can get help through employment. There are 6 major states that focus on felons for hire. Most states that do hire these individuals receive a tax break. A proposal was set back in 1998 for employment not to discriminate employment measure that would require a state appeal to hire. Initially, President Bush had initiated a tax credit in 1996. So basically, what happened in 1990 or back in 2008, when Obama signed that bill, he was just basically developing that off of the bill that President Bush did back in 1996. Um, let's see. There's no limit to the number of hires that an employer can claim. So they could have like their whole factory crew of hires, and they'll still get that tax credit. Employees need only to complete a one-page form by the day the job offer is made, and file another one-page form 28 days after hiring an eligible employee. The earnings test for former felons is limited. Rehires are not eligible unless they qualified previously. As of 2010, 2.5 million citizens were incarcerated and in the United States jails were convicted as felons. The federal bonding program is available to employers who have concerns about hiring quality but at-risk job applications. What that means is that the employers who are able to hire convicts, they are given a contract that's called a fidelity bond, and that protects against theft, um, company embezzlement, and etc. Things like that. So, if the convict were to do one of their acts that they were incarcerated for, it would be covered in that bond. So the employer basically wouldn't be losing anything. Actually, the employer is gaining by that tax credit. So in that coverage is usually up to about $5,000. Community Connects helps focus on employment for felons. They browse different employers that accept the bonds in order to be protected against all violations that the fidelity bond covers. The organization works with individuals by assigning them to a case manager. And what that case manager does is he or she will evaluate to make sure that that convict is mentally stable, and verifies their background, and just basically make sure that they're well rounded for the position that they're presenting to them. And basically to sum it all up, my conclusion would be, after researching this program and discussing how they work, I find that it's easier to explain and encourage my friend that while searching for employment, like the different steps that employers have to take. And I realized that as we tried to find employment on our own, as well as through Felons for Hire, it was more understanding as he got turned down, so it wasn't as discouraging to him. And as for Felons for Hire solely, I had to explain to him that it takes time because of different evaluations that needed to be complete. I also found that felons are not eligible for all assistances in some states, including like welfare, food stamps, and things like that. It depends on, again, what the felony is for and how recent it has been. It is important to find out exactly what they qualify for, and again, your case manager, he or she should be able to decipher that for you. And nevertheless, to bring this to a close, I just wanted to encourage anybody who does know a convict looking for employment, just because they made bad decisions doesn't make them a bad person.